So 13, 14, 15, keep getting further and further away from God, which makes absolutely no sense. And at the age of 15, my mom was never home. I was wandering the streets most of the time after school. I got myself caught up in a gang. It was a sense of identity for me. I didn't have to worry about people stabbing me in the back, although that's not true. I didn't have to worry about people betraying me as I felt everybody had before me. I felt a sense of purpose. And I thought, this is the family that I've always wanted. These people will be there when I need them. So, stupidly, I was a part of that for years. And at the age of 17, and in this, of course, alcohol abuse. Not as much drug abuse, it was still there. I just found myself, again, continuing to fall away from what I knew was right. I just didn't want to deal with what was right. And like I said, at the age of 17, I joined my first band, and we went everywhere and met all kinds of people. And when you meet new people in bands, you get all kinds of other opportunities to try all kinds of different things. So I started experimenting with other drugs, and I started experimenting with different philosophies and different ideas and different theologies, different outlooks of biblical teachings, or so I thought, different ideals, opportunities that Satan was putting in my way to continue to drive that wedge that I was creating between myself and God. At the age of 19, my best friend, my brother, he wasn't actually my brother, he was actually the leader of our gang, couldn't handle the pressures of life anymore, so he hung himself. I got to find him. It was disgusting. It was a thing that I'll never forget. And when we had taken him down, we took him to the hospital because he still had a heartbeat and they could get him to breathing again a little bit. We stayed with him in the hospital for 8 hours overnight. His idea was that he would have his girlfriend find him and they would grow further in love with each other. He had written a note in his diary. And I had a really hard time with this. And I just thought, even though, and I talked to God, I would tell God, even though I'm walking away from you, you're still God, you still love us. Why would you let something as silly as suicide, why would you let that happen to us? And over, he's still standing there. I'm here. Well, I couldn't handle that. I couldn't handle God allowing something like that to happen. So I got a job as a pizza delivery man. There were strings attached to this because my boss was also my drug dealer. And it gave me an opportunity to make money as a drug dealer myself. So not only was I using, but I was selling. I would go out on runs and deliver pizzas and the product. And I would come home and with $300, $400, $500 every night. Well, $300, $400, $500 a night just sitting in your pocket doesn't go anywhere without some majorly awesome parties. So I started throwing parties at my place. Got a really nice apartment. Started throwing a lot of parties. Getting even deeper and deeper and deeper, just driving that wedge. Getting deeper and deeper into drug abuse, because at that point in time, that was the only thing that sated that feeling of emptiness. I didn't have to feel alone. I didn't have to feel anything. So More use, delivering pizzas. Pizzas. For 2 years, I did this. And you know, your body can't handle that for very long. And it's been debated on time. But for time's sake, I'll tell you this. Deeper and deeper and deeper into the hole I went. And deeper and deeper and deeper away that I was trying to walk away, trying to run away from God. And I couldn't handle it anymore. I experimented mixing my drugs with other drugs. My body didn't like that. So when I was 20, I got 2 drugs together, marijuana and cocaine, smoked it, and I overdosed. I went too far. And this is the part of my testimony that I want you to be abundantly clear about. I want you to remember this, because this was my life-changing event. All my friends that I had established, all the relationships that I held dear for many years were sitting right there with me, indulging in the same thing that I was indulging in. I went too far. I took too much. And I started, my body functions started to stop. I could feel my heart stopping. I won't get very descriptive. It was really bad. And I lied there on the floor in the garage, in my garage. I was picked up by my friends. I was thinking, great, they're going to take me to the hospital. This is going to be fantastic. I'm going to get better. I don't have to be scared. I'm good. And they threw me in my bathroom. They took my bookshelf, put it over the door, turned off the lights, turned their backs, and left. And that was it. I was lying there thinking, this isn't supposed to happen. And what do I do? What do I do? God, are you there? Nothing. Oh, come on, God. I know you've been here the whole time. I know you haven't left me. You've got to be there. Lord, you're there, right? Nothing. I could feel my heart slowly stopping. I could feel each heartbeat as if it was my last. And I just thought, Lord, come on. You've got to be there. And any other time in my life, I haven't needed you more than I need you now, Lord. Are you there? There was nothing. I said, okay, Lord, fine. Okay, what do you want me to do, Lord? Of course, I'm probably thinking this. I'm sure it was my spirit calling out, because I know that my body was laying there and that I was as good as dead. I thought, Lord, what do you want me to do? And I thought, well, I know a bunch of worship music. I mean, I've always been in church. Maybe God wants me to sing to him. So I started, in my spirit, started rejoicing. Or so I thought, and I was singing and singing and singing and singing and singing. And I'm thinking, Lord, surely you're going to receive these offerings that I'm giving you. Lord, you've got to be there. I know you're there, right? You're there, Lord, right? And there was nothing. And for the first time in my life, I realized that the distance that I had created had distanced myself, and I had created a void. I mean, that void might have been this big. The void might have been this big. But there was a void. And I thought, Lord, surely you, being who you are, all these stories that I've heard, all these bridges that I've seen you built, surely you can bridge this void in my life, right? And there was nothing. And my soul, my very being was broken. And it's at that moment that I shed myself that God said, follow me. I was like, whoa, what? He said, follow me. And it's not ironic that this morning, time and time and time again, whether it was in the Sunday school or in our worship that we shared this morning or in some of the conversations that I've had with you, the theme has been this morning for me to follow. I think how perfect it is to share this part of my testimony with you because God speaks. Are you listening? Because until that point, I wasn't. As I am speaking to you now, I heard God say, follow me. And I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, of course. I'm kind of dying here, but I'll follow you. And I'm like, where do you want me to go? And he says, follow me. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? He says, follow me. And I'm like, fine, I'll follow you. And I felt my heart beat really hard. And then I felt it going and going and going. And I'm just like, okay, this is good. This is good. This is good. Okay. And I'm like, okay, God, what's next? Anybody willing to venture a guess as to what I heard? Follow me. Okay, Lord, I am alive. I'll follow you. I'll follow you. I came to, after many hours, I was lying in that bathroom for what I think to be 14 hours. I came to, and I tried to open the door. I mean, I was weak. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I luckily had my cell phone with me. And I couldn't think of any number. I couldn't think of anybody to call, but I just dialed, or I just hit my send button a couple of times, and by the grace of God, the technology that He's given us the ability to create, it called the last phone number that I had talked to. And it was my cousin. And she came and she broke down the door with her brother, my other cousin. And they got me. It took me 2 weeks to learn how to talk again, to learn to walk again. And that's great. I've known people, it's taken them years to learn what God did for me in 2 weeks. But you know, for that 2 weeks, I didn't hear anything from God. And I was just beginning to get on the cusp of, God, you said to follow you, and you haven't said anything to me for a couple of weeks. What am I supposed to do? So one day I was sitting on the couch of my cousin's house, and he said, follow me. And I quite literally got up, went out to my car, got in my car, and started driving. Okay, God, let's go. Started driving. Everybody know where Bluffton is? Anybody? Bluffton, Indiana? From Kokomo, it's what? An hour? 2 hours? Surely not. Anyway, from Marion, it's a 45-minute drive. Okay? I get in the car, and 4 hours later, I ended up in Marion, Indiana. Okay? Okay, God, I'm going. I'm following you. Where are we going? God is really sketchy on directions sometimes. But that's okay. 4-hour drive to Marion. I've never had to do it again, so I don't mind.